Welcome to the Media and Society. I'm your host, Anthony Mitchell. And today we have a remarkable guest, Allie Braswell Jr., an accomplished entrepreneur, author, and civic leader. Allie is the founder and CEO of the Braswell Group, a consulting agency focused on corporate community engagement and inclusion. His latest book, Engage, Invest, and Grow, offers deep insights into the art of building and maintaining impactful relationships. With a background in information technology and human resource management, as well as advanced credentials in diversity, equity, and inclusion, Allie brings a wealth of experience to our discussion. Tonight, we'll explore how maintaining strong relationships can drive both personal and professional success. Allie, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great, Anthony. How are you, man? Good to see you. Great to join you again. It's hard to believe it's been 3 years since we got together for a conversation like this, but always excited to join you on the Media and Society. And congratulations on all the great work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, it's pretty special. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Omari Jones. He's a Oviedo, Orlando boxer, part of the Jones family. You know, he picked up the bronze today, had a tough fight in the Olympics, but definitely a big shout out to him.
Well, that's outstanding. And for us to be on here together, two products of Oviedo, Florida, it always warms my heart to be able to join you and the team and the family, because relationships are key. As you know, I truly believe in them. And that's one of the reasons we're here today, is to be able to talk about them and to talk about how they grow and how they flourish.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get started, Allie, just give them a small synopsis about yourself. So people that don't know you get an understanding of who you are.
Well, the gray hair is real. I've been around on this earth for, God bless, 62 years. And in doing that, I'm a small town guy from Oviedo, Florida, that believed in, if I could dream it, I could achieve it. My teachers from Miss Anderson at Jackson Heights through Mrs. Evans at high school told me whatever I thought was possible, all I had to do was dedicate myself to it. And so, I've had the privilege of serving in the United States Marine Corps, and during my 12 and a half years in the Corps, it just laid a foundation for believing in myself and knowing myself, how to seek self-improvement and grow. From there, a great corporate career. I've worked for some of the biggest names in industry, from Disney to Mayo Clinic to launching my own company over 10 years ago, if you can believe that, and then having a relaunch of it a year ago. I've been able to build relationships all over the globe and be mentored by some of the best. So I have to say, it's because of people pouring into me, their time, their talent, and treasure, I've been able to achieve a lot. Ran for office in 22, and that's a whole nother segment we'll come back for maybe one day. But, I believe if you're going to be a part of telling about what's wrong, be a part of the solution that fixes it. And that's really how I've lived, Anthony, is being able to engage and give back to people and help to make a difference. And that's one of the things I'm doing now. My goal is to reach 5 million people during my lifetime and touch them and help to put a little bit of humanity back into being human, to lead with empathy, compassion, and to value people from all over the globe.
That's major, and that's wonderful. As we get started, what I'd like you to do is really talk about what's so crucial about maintaining relationships in both personal and professional settings. How does it contribute to long-term success also?
Well, when I wrote the book, Engage, Invest, Grow, about how to build and master lasting and impactful relationships, people would ask me, Allie, what is the key to your success? And I had to tell them that it really is about the relationships, being able to build relationships that make a difference. You see, when you build relationships, it kind of follows my framework of ships. When we learn about each other, we then become better partners. Because if we know that we have shared goals and shared competencies and shared outcomes, then that partnership becomes tighter. And when that partnership is built upon trust and respect and character, then we don't have a problem sponsoring. You might know, as you and I have talked over the years, it's the conversation that happens when you're out of the room that is the most impactful upon whether or not you're going to ever be invited to be in the room. And I call that sponsorship. A lot of people think about sponsorship as dollars that corporations give, and that truly is a form of sponsorship. but it becomes more meaningful when I've taken the time to learn about somebody, moved into partnership, and then I invest some of my relationship capital into opening a door for somebody or sponsoring. Kind of like Bob Billingsley did. I talk about that in the book. When Bob, as a senior executive at Disney, saw somebody come along and said, you know what, I'm going to invest some time. I'm going to help him grow his talent. And then we're going to jointly explore the treasure that we can have within this company if I help him grow. By making that investment into me, by making an investment, Bob had ownership. And that's the last part of the ship's framework. It's really learning about each other so that you have better partnerships, being able to open the door for others, and then having that sense of ownership, wanting to see them be successful and jointly reaping the benefit, which makes it a mutually rewarding relationship.
Absolutely. There's some really key areas in your book, and I want to show the audience your book. We're going to flash it over to this camera over here so people can actually see. This is the book, Engage, Invest, Grow. But there's some really key stories and elements in here. Did you care to share any of the personal stories that allowed you to maintain relationships and led to significant results?
Well, I alluded to one, so let me tell that one. Robert Bob Billingsley was this incredible, larger than life figure at Disney. He was the first to ever write a Disney diversity and inclusion statement for the Disney company. A graduate of Fisk University, HBCU, Bob always felt it was his mission to give back to other young African Americans coming through the company, to reach out and touch them and help them grow. I wouldn't learn later on until after Bob's death that I was one of his young lions, someone that he chose to invest time and talent and treasure into. Bob would follow me throughout my Disney career and help me grow. But when I left to go lead the Urban League, Bob was one of my biggest supporters. You see, I went to an urban league that needed rebuilding and restructuring, and you had to be able to bring corporate relationships to it. Well, Bob was one of the first to write a check from the Disney company to support the organization, to support the mission. And one might say, why? It's because of the relationship that we built while I was a member of the Disney organization, where he poured into me through whether we were working on the Urban League events or working with 100 Black men or any other of the entities that he chose to spend time in. He made sure he brought along and coached others. And that was one of the best things that I learned about building relationships, is make sure that they're mutually rewarding. I was able to pay Bob back in many ways, but one of the best I thought was when, while president of this and CEO of the Central Florida Urban League, I got to create the Bob Billingsley Legacy Award. And when I first told Bob about it, he was like, I'm not leaving here yet. I said, Bob, it's not a lifetime achievement, it's a legacy award. And then being able to present that to a mentor who had invested so much time and energy into me, and to see him light up when he, the next year, presented it to the next recipient. You see, relationships are totally about them being mutually rewarding. You got to make deposits into relationships before you make withdrawals.
Mm-hmm.
I call that building up your repository of relationship currency and then reaping the dividends later on. So I hope that helps you understand that relationship was so impactful. There are many more, but Bob really help me open doors through sponsorship and then also be there along the way for the journey.
Mm-hmm. I tell you something that's very interesting is the fact that you have a lot of these young 20-something, mid-20s that are coming out of college. And some of the questions that's always asked of them is, because when I tell them about mentorship and allowing people to mentor them, it's more than just staying in touch every once in a while. You talk about that in your book about simply staying in touch versus actively nurturing the relationship. Can you go into that and help the audience understand that?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is to stay in touch. So you still got to send the notes, but to really understand what's going on in others' lives really lets them know that what you're giving them is important. And you talk about mentorship. I think mentorship is you find that person who's not only going to tell you when you're doing well, but they're going to also help to course correct you. I might even add that during our relationship together, Anthony, I've had that privilege of being on that side of helping you grow in technology and watching you. And the reward is so when you reach certain levels of growth in your career, I'm here to tell you, man, that's the return on investment.
Mm-hmm.
And as a mentor, it's not about trying to chastise or gear or steer or direct you. It's about giving you the breadth, the extension of our knowledge, the
Hmm.
breadth of our knowledge to be able to help you make key decisions. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to go left when you should have went right, but it's okay because a good mentor will be there along the way to pick you back up, dust you off, and set you on the course again.
Yeah, excellent, excellent information. Before we go a little bit further, because we're going to go into another section where we're talking about the strategies for effective relationship management. You know, talk about some of the as you've gotten older and as you've gotten wiser and became more of a seasoned uh, mentor to people. Talk about some of the things that you already do that you've noticed that you've done when you were younger as a mentor compared to now that you're older, and what you've learned from those things.
Well, I think one of the best things is the longevity of mentorship. When I was younger, it used to be really transactional. And it was more about, corporate sometimes drove it. Hey, Allie, you need to meet with this young person because they're trying to come up in their field and they want to learn from someone who's been in it. Now that the gray hair is real and I'm a bit more seasoned, it's about the whole life cycle of the mentorship.
Hmm.
It's about the personal as well as the professional. It's about helping them give back as well as receive.
Hmm.
It's letting them know that it's okay to take the chance, but knowing that you're right, but you have to begin the opportunity in order to learn and go along the way. I think the most valuable thing for me is being able to have experienced so much in life and be able to tell anecdotal stories that help people see it from a point of view, but then allow them the breath to go out and try it on their own, but then to be there to help them as they navigate through it. So mentorship is, I believe, a lifetime commitment when you do it right.
Hmm.
And also learning that you can have more than one mentor. I've been privileged to have mentors of all backgrounds. I've had senior leaders who were women in the career that helped me guide and learn my way along the HR path.
Hmm.
I've had senior leaders over in technology who are men. I've had all backgrounds. And the great thing about it is you get to learn people and respect people. And I think that's the biggest reward of all of it is building such great relationships that even 20 years later, we still pick up as though we had a conversation yesterday.
Exactly. Exactly. Well said. Hey, let's jump over to strategies. What are some effective strategies for keeping relationships strong over time?
Well, I think if you read the book, one of the things I talk about are the 7 keys to mutually rewarding relationships, and we talked about a couple. It's staying in touch and making deposits before you make withdrawals.
Hmm.
A deposit is picking up the phone, staying in touch, knowing about the person, and staying engaged, keeping them aware of what you're doing, but always being open to hear what they're. And then when you can make that mutually rewarding by giving back, maybe you can pay it forward. An example of that was once when I was at Disney and being able to reach back and help others move into the Disney corporation and then help navigate the strategies to help them grow.
Hmm.
Really making the relationship deposit. And let me explain deposits. That's picking the phone up and calling and not having an ask attached to it. That's picking the phone up and saying, or going to visit. That's grabbing that cup of coffee, but having no intent to make a withdrawal from that relationship account. Those are deposits. Those help so that when you have built a reputation of character with them, people are willing and ready to help you when you're ready to make a withdrawal.
Hmm.
I think one of the other ones is understanding relationship currency, that it is a give and take, and that it is something that is really measurable. For example, a lot of people ask, why have I been so successful in the nonprofit world? Well, it was because of the corporate relationships that I built and having good character and good reputation, because your character and reputation often get to the table before you ever do.
Hmm.
But when you do arrive, then people can see that your audio matches your video. Most recently, I was talking with a colleague that's going to be joining me for a conference I'm doing in October. And he says, Allie, I have no problem being associated with you or joining that conference. He says, and I want to tell you why. It's because you walk the walk. You don't only talk it, but what you put in your book, you actually live.
Hmm.
And so those are some of the strategies: building real relationships, reaching back and helping others get to where you are, being able to look at relationships and create bonds that are built on integrity, honesty, and that have good character and good reputation to them. And then even being able to own when things don't go right helps to build your credibility when you move forward.
Sure.
I hope that,
Sure.
Anthony.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well said. How do you go about balancing the relationship management with a busy schedule? Because I think, you like yourself and like myself, we have exceptionally busy schedules. We're always doing something. I know you're all over the place because I see it online. I have my hands in a lot of different things. So like people like us, how do we go about balancing our relationship management with having a busy schedule and various priorities?
Making time. For example, I often talk to people about networking because everybody's networking. Everybody's going to the mixer or the after hours. And, we call it a success when we walk away with a stack of business cards, right? But here's how the best thing that I've come to use to manage that engagement is within 24 to 48 hours, follow up on that business card.
Mm.
Make time in your schedule to begin to invest into those relationships. I think the other thing is managing access is important. In many of the roles that I've held, it's put me to have access to some incredibly important people and celebrities, but not overtaxing those relationships or reaching past that boundary. It's understanding when people put boundaries and respecting them, and then leveraging that access responsibly allows you to gain get closer to them or gain even more access. So, to summarize, I would say the key is making time in your schedule to really invest time in others. John Maxwell, which I'm a Maxwell leadership executive, says that valuing people is the most important thing that we can do. So if we're going to truly value people, let's make time in our schedule, even set it up in your calendar that I'm going to follow up and connect with people on this day. Never miss a birthday. I love Facebook because it makes me look brilliant because I never miss a birthday on many people. And it's that simple reaching out and saying, I care, I see you, and that I value you that brings so much return on investment for me.
No, makes sense. Makes sense. Before we go on, we're going to take a short 20-second break. We'll be back. Thanks for watching this latest episode of the Media Society with Anthony Mitchell. Please like and subscribe, and of course, hit that notification bell to be notified when our latest content is posted for your viewing pleasure. Thank you to all of our subscribers and friends of the Media Society for your ongoing support. We see you and appreciate you. My name is Austin Mitchell, the host of the Review Show, where we run back some of the most impactful clips from past and present episodes of the Media Society and discuss their relevance in our society's discourse. We also have exclusive interviews with Anthony Mitchell and provide insight on upcoming projects before they drop from TMS Studios. The Media Society is more than a show, but a coalition of change in and throughout communities across the world. To learn more about us, please visit tmsstudiosllc.com, and you can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And of course, with that said, we're out.